Welcome to today's video. Okay, I gotta stop real quick because now every time I say that, I get worried that someone's gonna hear that and think I said something else. So a couple of videos ago, someone commented like thumbs down, hey fans, question mark, exclamation. I think they thought I said hey fans. I don't say hey fans, I say hey friends. Anyhow, hey friends, welcome to today's video. Today, I'm gonna be sharing this makeup look. I was wearing this on Instagram last week and I had so many messages from you guys saying, oh, I love your makeup, it looks so great. What do you have on? Can you do a tutorial on this look? And I was actually pretty shocked. I mean, sometimes I get those comments, but I got a lot of those comments when I had this makeup on. And it's actually kind of a surprising look because I'm mixing very cool tone shades on the lid and very warm tone shades in the crease. And I just kind of threw it together and it works. So we're gonna be doing that. I'm gonna be showing you what I did. We're also gonna be just kind of talking, catching you guys up, sharing my kind of crazy week last week. So it's just gonna be a chatty kind of get ready with me makeup tutorial. I'll be sharing some updates with BK Beauty. I'm gonna share a little bit about my crazy week last week. And yeah, we're just getting ready. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, let's get started. I'm gonna put this hair back first of all. I washed it yesterday and I spent so much time drying it like with a round brush section by section, making it perfect, and I loved it. And then I worked out today pretty intense and I got real sweaty and I tried to revive it, but it doesn't look as good as it did yesterday. So I'm gonna go ahead and start by priming my skin, and I'm gonna use the Beauty Blender, the Leveler Primer. I do have my skincare on, of course, my SPF, all that good stuff. But I'm just gonna pop some of this on in the center of the face. That's usually where I put primer. I use primer really to minimize the appearance of my pores, and I also obviously put it on to keep my foundation on all day. And this is where I tend to get oily, so this is where I need that extra help. Today I'm gonna use the La Mer, the Soft Fluid Longwear. This does have an SPF of 20. So I'm gonna apply this on the skin. And I do about 1.5 pumps of this foundation. I find that works really well. And I'm gonna use my BK Beauty 101 brush to apply it. So I started working out with a new trainer a couple days ago. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you have seen that. And I am so excited about it. I obviously love exercise and exercise every single day, pretty much. I mean, maybe not every day, but 4 to 6 times a week I do. But I'm always doing cardio. I love my Peloton bike, I love running, but I've been really inconsistent with a strength training routine for years now. I find myself like going in and out of doing, strength training, but not sticking with it long enough to actually like build strength or muscle or, tone or change my body. So I worked out with my friend, Andra. She works out with him and she's in great shape. And we worked out with him on Friday. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. Like I'm going to sign up with him so that I have really no excuses. And I find that I'm better with a trainer, at least to get started. I feel like after a few months of training with a trainer like that, you gain the confidence to go to the gym and do those types of exercises on your own. But for me, I go into a gym and I'm comfortable on a treadmill, I'm comfortable on a cardio equipment, I'm comfortable in a class, but if you like put me in the weight room floor, like I know my, 6 exercises that I do and I just stick to those. So I'm really looking forward to it. So I just trained with him again this morning. Okay, so I really like this foundation. I really like it. It's probably one of my favorite foundations because it really checks all the boxes. It looks so natural. It gives really good coverage. I wouldn't say it's a full coverage foundation, but again, you guys know my stance on full coverage. I don't think a lot of us really even need full coverage. I think it gives just the right amount you need. It looks so natural and pretty. It gives the skin just a very natural kind of glow from within, not too shiny or dewy. It stays on pretty well for me. I did have someone message me and say that they get really oily with this foundation after a few hours. So, I mean, skin types are different, but I find with the primer, this lasts pretty well throughout the day. I might touch up once or twice, but it's a pretty good foundation in my opinion. Okay, so that's kind of evened me out a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and add my concealer, and then I do still have some foundation here on my hand that I might go back and add with a sponge. So for concealer, I'm gonna go ahead and apply the number 7 Lift and Illuminate Concealer. This is a new concealer that I've been testing this month, and I do like it. I was unsure at first because the consistency was just a little different, but once you So when you apply it with the doe foot wand, I find that it goes on a little strange. Like you put it on, you're like, I don't know about that. Once you blend it in with a sponge or a brush, it actually sits on the skin really, really nice. It gives good coverage. It doesn't feel heavy. It's hydrating. The shades are a little wonky in my opinion. I first got medium and it was like very, very olivey, almost kind of green. It was very strange. And then I went and exchanged it for a light medium, and I think that's gonna be the best bet for me. I wish that they had a shade that was bright and had a bit more peach tone to it, but I did not find one when I was there. I really like to use a beauty sponge for applying concealer, or I love this brush. This is a fantastic brush. It's so dirty though, I need to wash it. It's the Sigma F79 because the shape of it is just perfect. It's basically like a tiny little perfectly shaped beauty sponge on a brush handle. Okay, so now that that's in, because I just don't want to waste this foundation, and that is, I know I've said in videos, don't just let foundation go to waste. I'm not gonna let this foundation go to waste. I'm gonna grab my beauty sponge and I'm gonna soak it up. Now most of it did absorb into the sponge, but I'm just gonna use what's left and kind of bounce it in the center of the face and on the forehead. So we had a pretty eventful week last week. If you follow me on Instagram, this is all gonna be old news to you, but if you don't follow me on Instagram, you should follow me there because I share a lot about my life there. I don't really do a lot of vlogs here on YouTube, just because my life is not that interesting. But on Instagram, I'm always sharing on stories. I feel like Instagram stories is kind of where I vlog. It's at Lisa J Makeup, so I'll have a link down below where you can go follow me. But last week was like a crazy. So Brooklyn got strep throat. Well, let's rewind. So I went to Miami for like literally 30 hours. I flew in on Tuesday morning for a video shoot with Venus, which I'm so excited about. I think they're gonna release the video in October, so this month. But so I was there, we filmed the following morning. We started at 6 a.m. We wrapped up at like 5:30 p.m. I went straight to the airport and came home. And then the next day, Brooklyn had strep throat, so she was sick from school. So it was kind of nice that I felt really great that I was able to get home and be with her, because if I were out of town, she probably would have ended up going to school, like Paul would have missed it. I was actually really glad that I was home in time to like have a sick day with her. So she had strep throat on Thursday. Friday, we had plans to go to this, go to dinner with friends, and then there was like this hotel, Zaza is opening here in Austin, and they were having some launch party on Friday night, and so we were gonna go with our friends to dinner and then go to the party. We were all dressed, ready to go. The sitter had just arrived. Brooklyn was getting ready because she was going down the street a few houses down for a birthday party. And like 15 minutes before we're supposed to leave, she slipped and fell, and she was like in a lot of pain, like couldn't stop crying. She was in just a lot of pain. So our friends show up at our house, and I was like, I just am not gonna leave right now. Like we're gonna hang out and see how her arm is. So we went down the street. Our neighbor is a doctor and he works in the ER. So that's such a benefit, because I can't tell you how many times I've called him and I'm like, hey, can you check something out? Or can you look at Brooklyn or whatever, you know? So we went down there and he looked at her arm and he was kind of like, well, there's not an obvious break, but it's possible, you know? He's like, she should probably take her to urgent care. So we went straight to urgent care, no break, everything was fine. We got home, her arm was fine. So that was good. And then Saturday, I stepped on something in my backyard. I don't know if it was, I never saw what it was. So I don't know if it was a scorpion or a wasp or I don't think it was a snake, but I thought it was a snake for a moment. We live in an area that has a lot of rattlesnakes. We have a lot of rattlesnakes. I mean, literally it hasn't been so bad this year, but last year, I swear, like every week in our Facebook group neighborhood page, there was someone posting a picture of a rattlesnake they found in their yard. I mean, it's pretty bad. So it's something that I worry about. So anyway, I was walking in the yard Saturday evening and something bit me, and I didn't take the time to look down. I just like bolted inside. My toe had a puncture wound. It was bleeding, and I was panicking because I had Kate and her little friend here, and Paul was out of town. So, here I am thinking I got bit by a rattlesnake, and I was like, I needed to call an ambulance. I was just like, in such a panic. So I call my neighbor, and she comes over, and I was like, just stay with me for like 15 minutes or so in case I've never been bit by a rattlesnake, but I hear that when you are, it's pretty immediate, I think, that you have like a hard time breathing and there's like all these symptoms, right? So I was like, I just need someone to be here in case I do need to call an ambulance, like someone can stay here with the kids. But obviously I was fine. I think it was a scorpion. I think that's what probably makes the most sense, but my toe hurt for like 4 hours. It was throbbing, it went numb. It was very strange. So I have not stepped out in my backyard since. Oh my gosh, it was scary. So I just set my foundation with the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Powder. I'm really, really enjoying that powder. That one and the La Mer loose powder are the two that I've been using a lot this month. They're both fantastic. I use the #1 Fair in the Charlotte Tilbury. It's a little bit more pink toned. It's really pretty though. And then for brows, I'm just doing my normal Precision Brow Pencil by NYX, and then I'm just gonna go over it with a little bit of Give Me Brow Gel by Benefit. So for blush, I think I'm actually gonna pop a cream blush on. I'm gonna dig in my Salt New York palette, and I'm actually gonna use one of their blushes. So I have these cream products by them. I think I'm gonna use this one right here. I think it's called Rose. I'm gonna just use my finger to apply it, and I like to apply it kind of on the apples of my cheek, right where they pop. I'm gonna apply it there too. And then I'm gonna take my foundation brush that I just used, and I'm just going to kind of blend that into the skin. So to give you guys an update on BK Beauty, we are still on back order. We've had some emails kind of inquiring what the deal is. So the brushes are currently in production. We expect them to be here to us in early November. So we're allowing you to still place back orders on the website. And then as soon as we receive our inventory early November, all the orders that have been back ordered, those are gonna have priority to fulfill, and we're gonna get those out like immediately. And then of course, if you prefer not to back order, because when you do back order, you know, the payment is processed when you order. If you prefer not to do that, we will be sending an email update when we receive a shipment so that you can purchase it then. So if you're not signed up for our newsletter, I'll leave a link down below. Just go to the website, a little box pops up, you enter your email address. That's where we'll be communicating once we receive our reshipment. And we are launching 2 new brushes, which I will be sharing very soon. I'm so excited. I will give you guys a hint. They are both face brushes. We are working on a couple of new eye brushes, but those won't launch until early next year. Okay, so for eyes, okay, let's get to eyes. This is what I had tons of questions on, and it's so interesting because this look, you guys, is kind of like an unexpected look in the sense that I'm using very cool tone and very warm tone colors and just like sandwiching them together, and it works. So I'm gonna go ahead and prime my eye, and I'm realizing I do not have a primer in front of me, so we're just gonna use a little concealer. I have this MAC concealer here, so that's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna put a tiny bit. I don't wanna put too much because I don't want it to move and crease. And I'm just gonna use my finger to blend this out. Yeah, we just were not prepared for the demand of the brushes. You know, when we started this business, I mean, and I say we, I've had questions too, like, who is we? I thought it was just you. It is just me. I say we because Paul has had a hand in it too, and I just don't feel right. Like, it just feels weird being like, me, it's mine, because I don't know, it's us, you know, it's the 2 of us. And so when I say we, that's who I'm referring to. We, as in my husband and I, you know, self-funded this all. We have no partners. We have no one backing it at all. It's all us. But with that, you know, when we placed our first initial order, we didn't know what to do. But of course, when you work with manufacturers, contract manufacturers, you can't just order, you know, you have to order a large amount. The minimums are kind of scary, to be honest. And so we wanted to have 9 brushes because I didn't want to just do 4 brushes or 5 brushes. I felt like we needed to start with at least those 9 essential brushes. And then we ordered what we could, what our savings allowed us to order, you know, and it just sold out so fast. So, and then production on another PO takes 8 to 10 weeks to produce, and then it takes like 2 to 3 weeks to ship here. So that's kind of the reason for the long wait. We did up our next order pretty significantly. So we are hoping that we don't have huge, you know, obviously selling out is great, I guess, but we don't want to be sold out like this again, where you guys have to wait months. So we're going to really try and manage inventory. Obviously, you know, everything that we made from that launch is going back into the company. So, okay, so let's talk about eyeshadow. So I'm going in with this really warm peachy shade. It's by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and it's called Birkin. I don't know if you can see that there, but it's a pretty great transition shade if you want a really warm peach shade. And I'm just gonna kind of work that all the way across the eye, back and forth. I'm using the 201 brush, so I'm getting a pretty like nice soft blend with it. But because this brush is bigger, you know, it's covering a lot of space. It's not a real precise defined crease. So now you can see that gives a really warm, peachy, kind of hazy look to the eyes. So pretty. I feel like if I were just gonna do one shadow, it would be a shadow like this. It's just so nice and really complements green eyes. Then I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna use the 202 crease brush, which is more tapered and more defined. And I'm gonna go in with this shade. Let me tell you what color this is. This is called San Diego and it is by Sydney Grace. It's very similar to Birkin, but deeper. And I'm going to grab a little bit of this on the tip of my brush, tap it off. These Sydney Grace shadows, you guys, are so pigmented. I mean, I would probably say they are some of the best. I mean, I don't like to use that term lightly, but they are some of the best, you guys. I don't know a shadow formula that is better, you know, maybe as good, but I can't think of one that's better. They're just so rich in pigment. So I do like to tap off my brush just to avoid any like fallout or anything. And I'm just working that into my crease and then I'm pulling it down to meet my lashes. So that just intensifies what we just did, as you can tell. So I also want to say this about Sydney Grace. You know, it's a small business too, and I've always wanted to support small businesses, but now kind of being a small business on my own, like I really want to support other small businesses. And Heather is one of the owners. I think it's her and someone else. I could be wrong, but I've communicated with her a lot, and she's just a doll. Like she's a doll. So if you haven't checked her out, I highly encourage supporting their business. Oh, that's so pretty. Okay, then next on the lid, this is where things get a little fun. So I'm gonna go in with this shade right here. It's called Troops, and it's also by Sydney Grace, and it's a pressed pigment, so it's gonna be super rich in pigment. It's very, very foiled, so it has like, as you can see, it's not focusing there, but let's see if we get it. There we go. You can see that high reflective shine. And I'm actually gonna go ahead and use what's on my finger to just kind of apply that. I might go back with a brush and blend it out. Look at that, you guys. I mean, that is no joke. These pressed pigments are so pigmented. Okay, then I am gonna go ahead and go with a brush, and I'm actually gonna switch to the 203 brush. This is our shader brush, and I'm just gonna kind of soften that edge. So those two colors are pretty unexpected. If you look at the eye, it's like a really silvery taupe shadow with a matte, like peachy transition shade. So there's not really like a consistent theme there. It's like total opposites, but it works. It just works. So then I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna kind of apply this all over the crease and like softly kind of blend it into the crease. I think what I love about this look and why it's so complementary to my eyes, because I have green eyes, and the peach is very complementary to green eyes because it has orange. And even this taupe, it's not purple, but because it has that really like kind of mauve-y tone to it, that also is very complementary to green eyes. So it's two complementary colors, variations of those colors on green eyes. So I think that's why I got so many messages about, oh my God, your eyes look so great. It's that complementary color. And you can actually kind of soften it. So I actually kind of like the look of it applied a little softer than more packed on, but we do need to even things out. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so because I do like the softer side, I'm gonna take my brush and just kind of run it over a paper towel to kind of get out some of that product. And then I'm just gonna go over this and I'm just gonna run it back and forth to soften that a little bit. Perfect. And the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that crease brush and I'm just gonna run it in the crease. I didn't add any more color on it. I'm just kind of working with what's on there. So for the lower lashes, I took a pencil and I'm using the Urban Decay shade in Bourbon. And I'm gonna run this on the outer corner, and I'm gonna stop right about midway through. I don't want it to go over too far, because I am gonna go back and smudge this and work this in a little bit further. So I'm gonna use the 204 shader brush, and for that, I'm actually gonna go in with the lighter shade that we used. That was the shade Birkin by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and we're gonna just kind of go over that liner, smoke it out a bit, bring it a little further over. Okay, so for that look, I did do the liner a little bit different than I normally do. I used the pencil by Urban Decay and not a liquid liner. So I'm just gonna kind of run that just on the outer corner and half over. I don't use pencils too much on my upper lash line just because of my lash extensions, because it's really hard to keep it a nice clean line, and then that kohl like waxy product gets into the lashes. It's just, I just don't get a really clean line with these anymore, but I did it and you guys loved it, so maybe I should do it more. So I just applied that, kind of messy, not too careful. Then I'm gonna take my Smudge It brush and I went in here to this shade right here. This is by Sydney Grace, and it's the shade Keep Smiling, and it's a very deep, warm, like chocolate matte shade. And I got this on my brush, blotted it on a paper towel, and I just kind of like smudged it and ran it over that line, just to create more like depth right there at the lash line, not necessarily look like eyeliner. So hard to do with lash extensions. It's really kind of messy, to be honest. So if you have lash extensions and you find that this is just like making a mess of them, take your eyelid brush and you just kind of go over it to kind of blend it together. Now I'm gonna do a big no-no, and that's apply a little mascara on my lash extensions. I'm just gonna apply it on the tip of them. My lashes are great when I have extensions, but when I wear a lot of eye makeup, I still feel like they need to be bumped up a little bit. And then I'm gonna apply it on my lower lashes. So I do have a little bit of lip gloss on. I have the NYX Butter Gloss in the shade Tiramisu, but I'm gonna add a little lipstick on it. It's the MAC Love Me lipstick in the shade Daddy's Girl. I know I've been using these a ton lately, but I love them, they're so good. And I'm just gonna kind of run that over my lips. And I really don't even think I need to put a gloss on top. Having that gloss on as a base, they still have a lot of shine, as you can see. And that's it, you guys. This is the look that I had on that I got so many questions and compliments on. Pretty simple, right? I feel like all my looks are pretty simple. But I will have links and products in the description box below. So if you want to pick up any of these products or you want to reference this later and see what I use, see if you have something like it, you can find it in the description box. I'll also have a link to my Instagram down below. So if you don't follow me over there, you can head over there and give me a follow. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.